Hey sisters, how are you doing? Good to see you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out. Thank you so much for standing in line. And thank you so much for what you're about to do. You're going to elect this man, Mitt Romney, the next president of the United States. It is great to be back home in Big Ten country.
Yeah! Go Blue!
Tell you what, I represent the west part of the western shoreline of Lake Michigan. You got the sand and we have the rocks. But we all come from the same place.
I know. America!
I want to tell you something. We got a big decision to make.
Okay.
We're going to be deciding the kind of country we want to be, the kind of country we're going to have, not just for the next 4 years, but for a generation. President Obama has put our nation on a path to debt, to doubt, and a nation in decline. And it's up to us to get this country back on the right track and to retrieve the American idea, and that is the kind of leadership that Mitt Romney is going to provide for our country. You know, problem we've had is President Obama and too many politicians like him in Washington have been more concerned about their next election than they have been about the next generation, and that has to end. And we need leaders. I see my buddy Pete Hoekstra over here. You need to send Pete Hoekstra to the United States Senate so we can turn that place around as well. We will lead. We will honor you, Michiganders, our fellow citizens, by respecting you, by giving you a clear choice of two futures. We will not duck the tough issues, we will lead. We will not blame others, we will take responsibility. And we will not try to transform this country into something it was never intended to be. We will not try to replace our founding principles, we will reapply our founding principles. Over the last few years, we've seen a pretty good glimpse of what President Obama thinks, of what he believes, of where he thinks the country ought to be transformed to. You guys remember Joe the plumber?
Oh, yeah!
Remember when he said, we need to spread the wealth around? Yeah. It's a belief that the economic pie of life is fixed, that someone's gain comes at someone else's loss. That's not true. No. We don't think the government's job is to redistribute the slices of the pie under its vision of equity. We want to grow the pie so that everybody in America has their chance at the American dream. There is no other system in the history of Earth that has done more to help the poor, that has done more to give people the right to rise, to make something of their lives, than the American system of liberty and free enterprise, and we don't want to replace it. We want to renew that. Remember about 4 years ago when he was talking to a bunch of donors in San Francisco, and that he said people from states like ours, we like to cling to our guns and our religion? I just have one thing to say. This Catholic deer hunter is guilty as charged and proud of it. That's who we are. Or how about the doozy he gave just the other day in Roanoke, Virginia? We could all probably say it together. If you have a business, you didn't build that, someone else did? No wonder our economy is where it is. No wonder 23 million Americans are struggling to find work. No wonder unemployment has been above 8% for 42 months. 9% here. No wonder nearly 1 in 6 Americans are in poverty today, the highest rate we've seen in a generation. You see, the president's notion of a government-centered society with a government-driven economy where the government picks the winners and losers, it doesn't work. It's not working in Europe, and it's not going to work here. And the winner we need to get this back on track is Mitt Romney, and that's why we're going to get this country where it needs to be. The president cannot run on his failed record of leadership. And so he's going to try and divide us. He's going to distort, distract, demagogue to try and get people to vote for him by default. We're not going to fall for that, and neither are you. We're going to give the country an alternative vision. We're going to give the country a choice of two futures that shows exactly how we can reaffirm our country, its greatness, the American idea. And that is why I'm so proud to stand with this man. A man who is meeting this moment in history just as we need it to be met. The kind of leader we need is a person who has a bedrock of principles, a moral compass, a vision for the future, and the ability, the experience, the character and integrity to execute that vision. Ladies and gentlemen, that man with that experience, with that integrity, is the man standing next to me. His name is Mitt Romney, and he's going to be the next president of the United States of America.
Thank you. What a guy, huh? Quite a vice president. He's going to be. What a welcome. You have touched Ann of my hearts. What an opportunity for us to be back home, to see this wonderful state, our wonderful friends here, to be at this cider mill and orchard, to have all of you here to welcome us on a Friday at noontime. Wasn't easy getting out of work today, and I sure appreciate your willingness to be here and to say hi to us. It brings a tear to my eye. It makes us recognize just how important you feel this election is, as we do.
Yes, sir.
I brought with me two people I'm very attached to. One is the one I've been in love with for all my life, it seems. And Ronna introduced her to you, but I saw Ann in elementary school. I think she was in the 2nd grade when I was in the 4th grade, and I didn't pay much attention to her at that point. But when she was a sophomore in high school, I noticed again. And this time I paid a lot of attention. You see, we went to a party at a friend's home, and she came with someone else. And I went to him and I said, I live closer to Ann than you do. How about I give her a ride home for you? And so, sensing that I was giving him a favor, he said fine. And I gave her a ride home, and we've been going steady ever since. Please say hi to my sweetheart, Ann Romney.
Oh, hello, Michigan! I love coming to a place where I put up my hand and everybody knows what that means. So Mitt and I grew up here, we fell in love here, and this is a special place for us, and we want to have a big W next to Michigan in November. I have to say, when I got on the stage, and I didn't appreciate how many people were here until I stood up here, I got quite choked up because it's amazing. It's amazing that people in Michigan have not forgotten the promise of America. And the promise of Mitt's father and my father, who made their livings here and who came here. Both of our fathers came here and made their livelihoods here. And they came from nothing. And we know that we offer that promise to the next generation. And that's why I get such a response from so many women across this nation that say to me, number one, I'm praying for you, Ann. I love that. And number two, it's like, please tell Mitt he's got to save the country. And that's what we're here to do. We are going to save the country for your children so that they can have the same promise that we had as children. I feel as though we're standing on great shoulders coming here to the state of Michigan, knowing that George Romney is an institution in this state. How much we love that man and how I owe so much to our life, to the powerful example that he gave of service. So we're standing on his shoulders today, and we're going to make Michigan proud and George Romney proud, and I can't wait for you to hear how Mitt's going to lead America to a better place. Thank you so much.
She's quite a woman. She'll be quite a first lady, I'll tell you that. Today are touched by people who I know are suffering. You heard that there was a shooting in New York City at the Empire State Building. One person killed there, others injured. Our hearts go out to those that have been affected by that. The first responders that were there, we appreciate their service and their dedication. And that's true all over the country. Wherever first responders are needed, they're there. We love and appreciate their sacrifice, their willingness to help our fellow Americans. Executive Brooks Patterson, he was in a terrible automobile accident. I'm sure you've heard that. He's still in very serious treatment. Our prayer goes to him, and also the driver of his vehicle, who apparently is very seriously injured. Please include Brooks and his family and his driver and others associated with that terrible automobile accident in your prayers. Now, I love being home in this place where Ann and I were raised, where both of us were born. Ann was born at Henry Ford Hospital. I was born at Harper Hospital. No one's ever asked to see my birth certificate. They know that this is the place. We went to elementary school together at Bond School, and we went to high school together. She at Kingswood, I at Cranbrook. We were the Cranbrook Cranes, of all things, and she was the Kingswood Aardvarks. Couldn't we do better than that? And so this has been a place of home for us from our very beginnings, and frankly, even now, it feels like coming home to see this beautiful state and to see our friends here. It's been quite an experience to watch my dad and my mom in their campaigns. I got to visit every county in Michigan, 83 as I recall, is that right? 83 counties. I went to every county, went to county fairs, stumping for mom, stumping for dad, and the people of this state responded. They didn't always vote party line. They voted for the person who they thought could get Michigan working again, and my dad did, and I will. Such an extraordinary experience going across the country and seeing the passion and heart of the American people. We're a patriotic people. I see our sons and daughters in far-off places. I've been in Iraq and Afghanistan, then when there was conflict, and I've seen men and women from this state and from my state now in Massachusetts serving our land. I appreciate those who've been proved in liberating strife, who more than self their country love and mercy more than life. For those in our armed services and veterans, please raise your hand and be recognized. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. This is a time when America faces extraordinary challenges. Around the world, Iran is seeking to receive a nuclear weapon and to use that to intimidate the world. An economy is now threatened by virtue of competition that's global, by jobs that have left our shores, by technology that's now being developed by other nations. We're competing around the world. We face extraordinary challenges in government, where for year after year after year, politicians have been spending massively more than we've taken in. These kinds of challenges we can overcome in one way, by coming together and being united. It's time to have a president that believes in uniting the American people, not dividing the American people. We'll soon be having a convention in Tampa, Florida. I'm told the weather may be a little iffy there. But we're going to be there. And we're not just going to talk about platitudes, not going to talk about small things. We're going to talk about these big challenges and how we're going to overcome them. We're going to talk about the soul of America, what makes this nation unique and exceptional in the history of the earth. And we're going to do everything in our power to bring people together, Republicans and Democrats and independents, to understand that our way forward is the only way that will create strength and vitality and prosperity for all Americans, from the richest to the poorest and everyone in between. This president tried. I'm convinced he tried. I think he was headed in the wrong direction is the problem. I saw someone outside the zone here that had a sign that said 4 more years, and I almost felt like stopping and saying, you want 4 more years of 8% unemployment? You want 4 more years of record numbers of foreclosures and declining home values? Do you want 4 more years of trillion-dollar deficits to pass on to your kids? Do you want 4 more years of small businesses finding it hard to hire people? Do you want 4 more years of government becoming more and more intrusive in your lives and in your businesses? I don't want 4 more years of what we have, do you? I want to get America on an entirely different track, a track of greatness and strength and vitality and prosperity. And I know how to do it. What I know how to do is something I've learned by watching the great leaders in America's past. You see, the founders of this country had it right. When they looked at America, they recognized that what would make this nation powerful was not a government or a king or all these special advisors in Washington that would tell us how to live our lives, how to build our enterprises, what to make and how to make it, what to sell it for and where to ship it. Instead, by letting individuals pursue happiness in their own ways, we would create the most powerful country in the history of the earth. It is the free American people that make America the nation it is, not government. Paul just said it a moment ago. He said something the president said, and I guess Peggy Noonan said it's the most famous line of his presidency so far, in part because it's so revealing. When he said, if you have a business, you didn't build it, someone else did that. It revealed something about his views, his perspective on America, that's really quite extraordinarily unusual and a departure from America's founding principles. You see, the founders understood that individuals pursuing their dreams are what make our country go, not government telling us what to do. They recognized that our rights came from the Creator, not from government. And those rights included life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. I've gone across the country and I've met people who did build their businesses. I've met people who got promotions at work and they did earn that promotion themselves. I met young people who made the honor roll. I met people who, Boy Scouts who got the Eagle Scout Award, and they did accomplish those things themselves. Government did not give it to them. We're a nation which is founded on the principle of individual liberty and greatness. We recognize the spark of divinity in every single human being. We celebrate that. We celebrate achievement and accomplishment. This idea that government knows better than free people how to lead America is simply wrong. And so we're going to take America on a course which is consistent with that set by the founders. We will restore the principles that made America great and keep America the shining city on the hill. 5 things that are going to get this economy going. I want to see Michigan just taking off again with huge job growth and rising take-home pay. I appreciate the work being done by your governor. Rick Snyder's doing a terrific job making Michigan once again a friendly place for small business and entrepreneurs and innovators. And I want to take some of the things he's doing and put them in place in Washington by doing 5 things. Number 1, we're going to take advantage of our energy resources and get North America energy independent. We have coal, 250 years of it, natural gas that's cheap, oil, nuclear, wind, solar. We're going to take advantage of those energy resources, and that's going to create some 3 to 4 million jobs, 1 million in manufacturing. Energy is going to help get us going in a big hurry. Number 2, we're going to make sure that our people have the skills they need to succeed, that we have the right kind of training programs for our adults, and we finally fix our schools and put the kids first, teachers first, and the unions behind. Number 3, we're going to have trade that works for America. Look, trade is good for us. It creates jobs. It helps raise incomes. Opening up new markets in Latin America, really expanding there will be good for us. But one thing I want to make sure we also do, and that is when people cheat like China's been cheating, we will crack down on them and not let it continue. Number 4, you're not going to get entrepreneurs to take their life savings to open a business, or get a business to decide to build a new facility here in Michigan or somewhere else in this country, or maybe even some big foreign company to come here and build a big research center, unless they know we're not going to become Greece or Italy or Spain. They want to know that America is willing to deal with our financial issues. And so I'm going to do something that politicians have talked about for a long time, and Paul Ryan has shown the courage to actually do. I'm going to work very hard to finally get America to a balanced budget by cutting the deficit and getting it to 0. And number 5, I'm going to champion small business. I want to help entrepreneurs and innovators build their businesses and add more jobs. 65% of the jobs created in the last 15 years in America were created by small business. I want to help these small businesses. Right now, the president wants to raise the tax on small business from 35% to 40%. That would kill jobs. Don't raise taxes on any Americans. Keep our taxes competitive. Get them down. Make small business the thriving engine of economic growth. Number 1 on small business taxes. Also for small business, we got to make sure that regulations are up to date and that regulators see their job as encouraging small business, not crushing it. Big companies are usually able to deal with all the regulations because they have hundreds of lawyers they can go to, but small business can't. We got to get regulations pared down to size for small business. And number 3, we've got to remove that big cloud that's been hanging over small businesses. And that is, we've got to repeal and replace Obamacare with something against the If we do those things, those 5 things, energy, skills to succeed, education, opening up new markets and cracking down on cheaters in trade, finally getting ourselves to a balanced budget and opening an era of encouraging small business. We do those 5 things, and you're going to see America come charging back economically. We're on the cusp. I have to tell you, we're on the cusp of an economic rebound. The world is going to be surprised when they see what happens in America, when they see what happens here in Michigan. We can compete with anyone in the world. We will compete. We will win. If we do those 5 things, we'll create 12 million jobs and finally see a rise in take-home pay. And so from our standpoint, we don't want 4 years of what we just had. We want 4 years of what I just described, a brighter, more prosperous America with a strong and prosperous future. this counts.
Yes, it does.
Paul mentioned it.
Yeah.
There are 23 million Americans today out of work. 23 million.
Unbelievable.
8% of our people are unemployed. About 15% are either unemployed or stopped looking for work or can't get full-time jobs and need them. Half the kids coming out of college can't get a job or a job that's consistent with a college degree. Half our kids. 1 out of 6 Americans has fallen into poverty. The gap between the haves and have-nots has gotten larger under this president, not smaller. Small banks going out of business or shrinking, the big banks getting bigger and bigger. This president's policies haven't worked. It's important we get America on the right track so we can get those people back to work. So our kids will know that when they finish school, they got a good job waiting for them. So we can pull people out of poverty and build a bigger middle class with rising take-home pay. And there's another reason it's important. And that is because a strong America is not only good for Americans, it's good for the world. It's good for liberty. It's good to preserve liberty. I was in Great Britain some time ago, and one of the leaders in Great Britain said to me this. He said, Mitt, if you're lucky enough to be elected president, and you travel around to foreign capitals, you'll undoubtedly have rehearsed for you all the mistakes they think America's making. But please don't ever forget this. The one thing we all fear the most is a weak America. American strength. Strengthen our homes and values, and families. Strengthen our economy and strengthen our military. American strength is the best ally peace has ever known. And Paul, Ryan, and I commit to you that in every day in office, we will make American strength our priority. We'll do everything we can to strengthen our homes and values, to strengthen our economy, and to keep our military so strong that no one would ever think of testing the might of the United States of American military. That's our commitment to you. Now I need your commitment to me and to us. I need you to go out and find at least one person who voted for Barack Obama and get them to change their mind and come vote for us. We've got, I don't know, 5 or 10,000 people here. 5 or 10,000 more votes to make the difference in Michigan. I want Michigan to vote for Romney and Ryan. And if Michigan does that, he and I will be the next president and vice president of the United States, and America will stay strong and prosperous and free and the hope of the earth. Thank you so very much.